A furious fourth quarter comeback wasn't quite enough as the Broncos fall to the Patriots 26-23 on this Christmas Eve. And the Broncos postgame show starts right now. Hello, and thank you for joining us here in the studio. Happy holidays. I am Phil Milani alongside Nick Ferguson. I say happy holidays, but if you're a Broncos fan, you got to be feeling a little bit disappointed, Nick.
Yeah, Phil. Yeah, the Broncos fans are feeling a little disappointed. And the idea was to put the coal in the stockings of the Patriots, but the Patriots and Bill Belichick did the reverse. And it looked like things were going to get out to a fast start for the Denver Broncos when we saw the defensive turnover right there, maybe on the 10 to 15-yard line by DJ Jones. And I was like, yes, this is exactly what Santa wanted and everyone in Broncos country. But the Broncos could not punch it in. Yeah. And that was kind of the tail of the tape in that first half. That first half was somewhat of a huge struggle for the Broncos. That third quarter alone, minus 13 yards, Phil.
Oh, I know. Yeah, it wasn't good enough. And Sean Payton after the game said, hey, there was a lot of missed opportunities, 6-7 moments, I think he said, in that game that if they would have gone the other way, maybe we're talking about a Broncos victory. Let's check out the highlights here at Empower Field at Mile High. Like Nick said, opening play of the game, DJ Jones, his second forced fumble this season, and the Broncos were in business, but they didn't get anything to show for it because Javonte Williams tripped up on fourth down. He'd make up for it, though. 2 drives later, he finds pay dirt, and then that would really be it for that Broncos offense for quite a while. This thing turned around in the third quarter. Bailey Zappi. Yeah, Bailey Zappi dancing around, finds Mike Gesicki, and then it got worse. On the ensuing kickoff, Marvin Mims, a rare mistake from the rookie, puts the ball on the ground, and New England takes it in for the score, up 23-7. Broncos came alive, though, in the fourth quarter. Marvin Mims, after that turnover, makes a huge play, totally redeems himself, a 47-yard diving effort. A few plays later, Lucas Kroll goes up for it at the 2-point conversion, and the Broncos down just 8, 23-15. The Patriots go 3 and out, and then Russ, he's cooking at this point, finds Brandon Johnson. He takes it down the sideline, gets it across at the pylon. 2-point conversion is good. 20-3 all, but the Broncos had an opportunity. They went 3 and out after that. New England, they get a play down the field, and it all came down to this. New England, a 56-yard field goal for rookie Chad Ryland, and he drills it. 26-23 the final. Let's go field level out at Empower Field at Mile High and check in with Cindy Jones and Aric DiLalla.
Thanks, Phil. You know, as head coach Sean Payton put it, this was a disappointing loss here at Empower Field at Mile High tonight. Aric, just what were your main takeaways from tonight's loss?
Yeah, I think, Sid, this loss was a lot like the season, if you think about it, right? Start 1-5, you battle all your way back. The same thing tonight. You end up falling behind by 16 points there, have to mount a furious fourth quarter comeback, and it looks like you're going to be able to do it, get a big stop, and have a chance to go kick a game-winning field goal, get a game-winning score, and ultimately the script just flips at the end. And so again, it just felt kind of like a microcosm of this season. In this one game, a disappointing loss, a chance at home to get another win, to stay in the crowded AFC playoff picture against a team that only had 3 wins coming in, that was missing a lot of its best players. So a missed opportunity tonight.
Definitely. Like you said, Aric, you know, frustrating given the fact that, you know, a win tonight would have been big for playoff hopes moving forward. You know, how does this team just look ahead to finish the season out strong?
Yeah, you know, I think that's part of where the frustration comes from, right? Yeah. As this team knew that it didn't quite control its own destiny, but it was very close. And if you were able to finish the season out with 3 wins, the chances would have been really good. And we heard that a lot from players this week, that it's got to start with this one. You got to find a way to get a win. The Broncos had their chances early, right? You get a takeaway on the Patriots' very first play, right, and you're not able to score points there, so missed opportunity there. And I think Sean Payton said, hey, 7 or 8 times throughout this game, there were situations that if just one had gone our way, we would have been able to win this football game. And so, you know, you got to press forward, but it's a tough one to swallow right now.
Definitely. And head coach Sean Payton also talked about how this team needs to be better offensively. Eric, what did you see from them early on in the game? And then how do you think things changed in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, well, you got tempo a little bit, and I do think this team was able to attack a little bit down the field, saw some big plays. A guy like Marvin Mims responded well from obviously a tough fumble that led to a Patriots touchdown that kind of flipped the game. He was able to make a big catch. So able to push the ball down the field, get the ball into their best players' hands. Made plays when it counted. You get 2 touchdowns, 2 two-point conversions. It was great, and then it's what you want to see from this offense. I think early just not able to run the ball well against this offense, or against this Patriots defense. They got a lot of pressure. Russell Wilson wasn't able to, at times didn't have times to throw. At other times just kind of ran into some pressure. So it was difficult sledding early, and I think particularly in the first quarter, Sid, we saw Broncos couldn't take advantage of 3 possessions in Patriots territory that ended up coming back to bite them.
Well, Phil, we will head inside the locker room here to hear from a few players. Until then, we'll send it back to you.
Thank you very much, guys. Back here at the desk with Nick Ferguson. I am Phil Milani. Let's talk about the offensive side of the ball a little bit, Nick. Really went dormant there for a while. What did you see?
A little more creativity, and we saw later on in the fourth quarter, the Broncos offense came alive as desperation started to seep in, and you had to wonder, whether you were watching at home or you were in Powell Field, where was this for the first 3 quarters of the game? Because when you look about what the Broncos were able to do in the fourth quarter, 16 points.
Yeah.
16 points in the fourth quarter, and then Jerry Jeudy was involved in the passing game, and once again, that was one of my biggest question marks. Why wasn't Jerry Jeudy involved a lot more? You mentioned the Marvin Mims play. We saw the 52-yard punt return, and the first thing I did was like, man, give this kid more opportunities with the ball. They did, but it fell short. And that seems as though that's kind of the theme of the Broncos this season, just falling short of the finish line.
Yeah, I mean, so much changes when, you're down big like that. You kind of open up everything. And, the Broncos did lose Cortland Sutton in this one. He's in the concussion protocol. Russell Wilson was under pressure a lot today, Nick. 5 sacks.
Yeah, 5 sacks on the stat sheet for minus 45 yards. But the one thing that's not on the stat sheet is the number of pressures. If you watch that game, it was coming from everywhere. Ben Powers had his moment, Quinn Miners had his time, and then also Mike McGlinchey. So it was hard for the quarterback to find somewhat of a rhythm.
Here's what Sean Payton had to say at the podium, plus Russell Wilson, too, after the game.
A disappointing finish. Real frustrating game in that, man, we had a lot of opportunities, I felt, especially in the first half. Offensively, we struggled. It tip our hats to New England. We fought back in it, and yet, I said to the team there were 6 or 7 different situations in that game that any one of those play out a little differently, but unfortunately, they didn't, and our margin for error right now isn't what it needs to be, and we end up on the losing end of the game. So
yeah, I thought we got down 23-7, and we really got going in the fourth. We picked up the tempo a little bit. Guys made some great plays. Obviously, Cortland not being in there. I mean, I think Brandon Johnson had to step up. LJ, Mims, Jerry. And those guys just kept playing and battling. Offensive line kept battling. We got back. Obviously, we had 2 80-yard drives or whatever to make the score 23-23. And we believe we would win the game. Unfortunately, we didn't.
Let's talk about the Broncos defense here, too. Gave up a couple of touchdown drives there in that third quarter. Otherwise, they had been playing a solid game, especially in that first half.
Yeah, the Broncos defense was playing a solid football up until that third quarter, and I think that's where things fell apart for the Broncos, both offensively and defensively. And they did make some plays, but when a game is in a situation like this, it's all about, can you make the plays when the game was on the line? And when Bailey Zappi got a second time to move the ball down the field, he took advantage of it, set the kicker for the Patriots up for the game-winning field goal. So the Broncos were struggling once again for a second week in a row without Nick Bonito, with the inability to get pressure on the quarterback. 2 sacks on the day maybe 5 quarterback hits, but it should have been more. But you got to tip your cap to Bailey Zappi. He's not a Lamar Jackson, but he found ways to kind of climb the pocket and extend the drive, and that's where things fell apart for the Broncos defense.
Yeah, 256 yards passing for Zappi, and in that third quarter, he really looked sharp. And Nick, I was going to ask you, we've seen Pat Surtain shut down cornerback. What is so difficult, though, about some of those back shoulders where you're running, your back is toward it, and a couple of times tonight in particular, it just dropped right next to him, even though the coverage was perfect almost.
Well, it's one of those things where you say you have great coverage, but it was a better throw and a better catch. And, playing this game and coaching this game is very hard. That's one of the most difficult routes to defend, because if you are playing underneath the receiver, now the quarterback is going to throw the ball over you and it's going to be explosive. But if you're playing on top of the wide receiver, it's the back shoulder throw, and that's a timing and rhythm type of throw. And that means as though, once again, you may have great coverage, but that's when you're relying on the pass rush to someone get there. But once again, Bailey Zappi found a way in critical moments to push the ball down the field.
Yeah, and that was the difference. 26-23, the final out at Empower Field at Mile High. Let's go inside the Broncos locker room and check in with Sidney Jones.
Thanks, Phil. We're inside the locker room here with safety Justin Simmons. Justin, what are your emotions right now? Just knowing what was on the line tonight here.
Yeah, I'm disappointed. That's really it. The chance to win a AFC game at home, a must-win game for us. And we didn't get it done, so disappointed.
Justin, what was Sean's message to the team here in the locker room after the game, and what's your message being a leader on this team?
Yeah, there's no doubt that guys care and played hard and to fight back the way that we did. But there's times where we shoot ourselves in the foot, and also give credit to New England. There's some things that they did really well, and but sometimes we hurt ourselves, and I think that's the most disappointing part. We're a better team than how we played today, and that's the disappointing thing. And so I have to watch this film, regroup, and get ready for next week.
2 more games here left in the schedule. How do you move past this? What's the approach to the end this season here?
Yeah, we got to end on a positive. We got 2 big games left, both division games. Obviously, the Chargers at home first, and you just want to end the season on a positive. And I have no idea, what that playoff picture looks like. I know this one was really important to get, and so that's a disappointing thing, but we can still end this on a positive note.
Appreciate your time, Justin.
Yeah, thank you.
Phil, I'll send it back to you.
Thank you very much, Sydney. 26-23, the final. A disappointing, frustrating game. That's what Sean Payton had to say afterward. Nick, this kind of maybe puts a playoff talk at ease now, and just trying to look to finish the season strong here.
Yeah, right now there's so many things that would need to happen for the Broncos to actually get into the playoffs. They had everything in their hands. Every team that they needed to lose today lost.
Yeah.
And all you needed was a victory. Unfortunately, they were not able to do this. So right now at this stage, you're just trying to win the last 2 games against 2 divisional opponents. So the season didn't start off well playing against the Las Vegas Raiders. You want to definitely make sure you end on a positive note.
Yeah, I think that finishing the season with a winning record, that could be a big accomplishment for this team, and just knowing, hey, turn things around and finish with a winning record. There's still some, something to play for here these last 2 years.
Yeah, at this point of the season, there's always something to play for, and obviously you don't want to be in a situation where you're saying you're playing for pride, but that's where the Broncos are. But let's just be realistic about the situation. Look at how last season started and ended. Look at how this season started, and it seemed like it was on an uptrend, but then you lose a couple of games here and there. So right now, it's about licking your wounds, picking up the pieces, and trying to finish the season on a positive note.
Yeah. So back to work. I think Sean Payton said, hey, enjoy your Christmas. Take Tuesday, get back to work on Wednesday, and there's still 2 games. And you never know exactly what's going to happen, Nick. But he did not want.
Wait a minute. I thought I was the optimistic person on the set.
Yeah, I'm trying to be. I thought it was funny. Sean Payton said, hey, we're not going to bring up the Jamora playoffs.
Yeah, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, I didn't want to go there. So he's keeping it real. So, Nick, Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. I hope that this didn't put too much of a damper on it for you.
No, thank you. Happy holidays to everyone out there. Happy holidays to you. No. Life brings different challenges. This is just another challenge for the fan base, the players, and the coaches. You got 2 more games. Let's end on a positive note.
Exactly. I love it. I love it, Nick. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us. The Broncos fall 26-23, a field goal with just 2 seconds to go as they lose to the New England Patriots. All right. That's going to do it for us. For Nick Ferguson, I am Phil Milani. Happy holidays. This has been the Broncos Postgame Show.